Hey there, hope you're doing well. It's been a little while since I've done a podcast. Just been busy with a number of different things, but so I have a number of items in the pipeline that I want to talk about. The first item is I'm going to state the obvious, but unfortunately, it's not always obvious. At least not everybody, right? So when you're trying to, let's say, whether you're launching a new product, building a new application, or implementing a new feature, or even just an enhancement, right? I think there's different ways to skin the cat. Let me focus on what the problems, what the type of problem I'm talking about here, and then probably propose the solution as well, right? Not probably, I will, and it's not going to be something that's enlightening necessarily, but hopefully it resonates with you. So let's say let's say you're creating a new company, and that's going to make, I know it's a great analogy, but I'm going to take one regardless. And you're going to be building electric cars, and say you're going to compete with Tesla. And of course, you don't have billions and billions of dollars. You're going to build this little tiny thing and have a proof of concept, right? Or an MVP or something along those lines. How should you go about doing this? I'm taking a completely arbitrary example, but with a reasonable reason, I think. What do you want to prove, whether it's to your end users or to your investors, right? You want to prove a few things. One of that could be that you have the technical know-how and the ability to build electric vehicles. It may not be a car because you don't have the money to build this factory and build a full-fledged automobile. Maybe you build an electric cycle, right? So you're trying to prove even if they're different, right? I'm sure they're different, but let's not go into the details of electric vehicles because I don't know anything about that. But let's say, at least by virtue of building that electric cycle, you can impress upon your investors or your end users that you have the ability, the skills and the intelligence and the know-how to build something that's electric and that moves, right? So it proves a point. The other option is you don't build an electric vehicle or electric bike, you just build a car, right? So you build a car, maybe it's just a gas vehicle, but you prove to your investors that you have the ability and the knowledge to build a car, something that can move, take a family, a group of people from point A to point B. And then you're telling them, hey, you know what, I have this technical knowledge. Now, can you invest in me, or can you start using me, or whatever, right? So I can actually make this an electric car. So two options, right? One is you start by building an electric bicycle, and then you prove that point, and then you go to build this electric car. Or you build a car that's not electric, and then you just after you make the point that you can build a car, you try to make it electric, right? Now, hopefully it's a reasonable analogy, right? Even if it's hopefully it makes some sense so far. What you don't want to do, right, is spend your time building, I don't know, building a motorcycle that's not electric and it's not a car, right? I'll tell you why it's not a good idea. May or may not be a great idea, right? Or what if you end up building or creating the best seats in the car, or you have like a beautiful steering wheel or your dash or the console, all of that looks great, or maybe you demo that you have beautiful lovely audio system. It's got impeccable speakers and it competes with the BMWs and whatnot, right? Those are still items that need to be part of your vehicle when you do end up selling it, but that's not stuff that you should do on day one, day two, month one, month two, right? Because that doesn't prove anything to your end users if you're selling to them directly, or to your investors if you're trying to prove your team's abilities to them. And this might sound obvious because I think it's fairly obvious, but the devil is always in the detail, as they say, right? It's obvious when these examples are so what do I say, contrived. But in the real world, when you're building something, it's not so obvious. I see people starting out building a new product or an application or a feature where they focus their initial time and energies on the wrong set of things, which don't prove anything, right? Let's now go from Tesla and an electric car to like a software feature, right? Let's say you're implementing a new feature in an existing platform, right? We do that all the time, right? Across our mobile and web apps and whatnot. So let's say I'm implementing this new feature and we're starting to design this, and let's say we've got our design in place, we're going to start implementing it, right? Or somewhere between design and implementation. Now, how do you approach doing that? I've not stated a specific problem, so it's kind of difficult. I'm going to try and not trying to make this point without going into the details, because the details I'm going to refer to would be features in our platform that I'm currently working on, which till you see it, it may not make a whole lot of sense to you. So, am I even recording the audio? Hopefully I am. I forgot to turn on my mic, the hype mic, so maybe it's picking up the laptop's audio, and hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, so when you start this feature, you want to identify in that particular feature what your pain points could be. By pain points, I mean what are the most complex aspects of that feature, whether it's design related, or whether it's architecture related, or whether it's implementation related, right? Or whether it's deployment related. You want to identify those items and work on solving those items first. Once you've identified those items and found solutions to those items, then you can worry about everything else that's peripheral, and even within these items that you want to try and identify and solve, you want to have a working solution that's not theoretical in one extreme, right? On one extreme, but on the other extreme, it should also doesn't have to go into n levels of detail, right? So if that feature, if that aspect of the feature or the engineering challenge you're trying to address has I don't know, it needs 20 things to be done. But if you do those first 2 or 3 things, it will tell you whether this is viable or if it's not viable, right? If it's not, you just dump it and move to the next solution, next option out there. But if it is viable, you don't need to do the other 17 things. That would be a waste of time at that point of time. You want to go to your next technical challenge and then try to iron out those initial 1 or 2 things. And that's important, right? The next time I do this recording, maybe I'll come up with a real example of something I'm working on right now, because it is very important. I cannot emphasize this enough. Too often I see developers take a problem and then try to spend their energies, at least initially, in the wrong areas of that problem. I mean, things that are not complex, or things that we may have solved in the past as a team, or other people may have had solutions too. Now that's not useful for many reasons, right? One of the main reasons that it's going to be a slippery slope is you spend cycles and time doing it, and then 3 weeks down the road you realize, you know what, I hit a bottleneck, right? I hit a wall, and this approach won't work. Maybe this architecture doesn't work. Maybe this design doesn't work. Maybe this implementation doesn't work, right? Whatever it is that doesn't work, if you have to kind of circle back to where you were at before at the beginning, you would have lost that time. I say 3 weeks, but that could be a week, that could be 5 weeks, it could be 2 months, who knows, right? Depending on the size of whatever it is you're trying to do. So always identify the 2 or 3 complex aspects of your problem, right? As they say, right, a chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and your weakest links in implementing that solution, whether it's an MVP, whether it's a new application, whether it's an existing one adding features or enhancements, whatever it is, the weakest links are the ones you do not know the answers to, either because you've not solved similar problems in the past, or even if you've done so, you've done it probably in a different technology, in a different situation. You just don't know if that's going to carry over seamlessly to this newer problem. So next time you implement something new, this approach may or may not be directly applicable to bug fixing, not necessarily at least. But if you're doing anything that's beyond bug fixing, I think it's very, very important how you approach the solving of that problem, and the initial days and weeks make a big difference, right? In a larger company, maybe it's weeks. In a smaller shop, it's days, right? Because for us, we have, again, if you haven't checked out our platform, definitely check it out. It's a project management tool built for your personal and professional projects. You can download the app from the App Store and Play Store, or go to the web app and go to your browser and check out our web app as well. So we got a lot of features, and for each and every one of those, this is the approach we actually take, and it stood us in good stead. We try to figure out if it's going to work for us, if the idea we had in mind, does it translate to paper, does it translate to code, and if it doesn't, a day or two later, we're like, you know what, we'll take a different approach and then kind of roll with it, right? Hope this makes sense, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.